What's up, everyone? Fight week is officially on, and of course, we have to talk about the massive, intriguing main event between Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. Rumor has it, Khamzat has been training with Sam Calavita, the coach who turned TJ Dillashaw into a cardio machine. They're saying we're about to see a version of Khamzat we've never seen before, a cardio machine ready to wrestle for a full 25 minutes. And of course, we'll break down what makes Dricus so damn good and how he seems to have a key for every single opponent he faces. You're on the MMA Fight channel, so smash that like button and let's get into it. And yeah, these two guys are carrying all the hype this week, even though the entire UFC 319 card is stacked. In the co-main, you've got the debut of Aaron Pico against Lerone Murphy, plus Jeff Neal versus Paratas, Cannonier versus Page. Hell, even the early prelims are going to be wild with Edson Barboza throwing heat. First, let's remember how these fighters got here and who they beat leading up to UFC 319. We have to start with Dricus' victory in the rematch against Sean Strickland, which was just a perfect performance for him. He completely dismantled Sean in the stand-up, clearly won 4 rounds with one being debatable, brutally broke his nose, and did it all with almost no wrestling. You can just compare the stats. Look at the first fight where Sean won 4 rounds on the feet, and then the second fight where Dricus outstruck him in 4 rounds. While studying Du Plessis' style, which we've often called awkward, weird, and unorthodox, I tried to figure out what the hell he's actually so good at. And it turns out the champ has an incredible fight IQ, plus a perfect game plan tailored for every opponent. In the first fight against Strickland, he tried to be technical, to trade jabs, and that was a tough battle to win, because Sean is a master at that. In the rematch, Dricus started using his legs right away. He threw a high kick, which I noticed immediately. Then he was throwing spinning back fists, wheel kicks, adding spinning elbows like Prohashka. He completely changed his game. It worked, and he didn't even need to use wrestling as his main plan. Dricus fought everyone differently. Against Whitaker, he was in a southpaw stance for almost a whole fight, picking his shots carefully and throwing a lot of jabs, which eventually dropped and finished him. Against Adesanya, he gave up the center of the octagon, moved back, held his ground, but didn't get trapped against the cage. He maintained a solid guard, realized he was physically stronger, and started to wrestle, not afraid to spend energy on the canvas, handing him the first submission loss of his career. By the way, in his first fight with Strickland, he realized that he was gassing himself out on the ground, so he would get takedowns just for the sake of it, but wouldn't stay on the mat. If Dricus had fought Adesanya the way he fought Strickland, he would have been knocked out by a counterpunch. If he fought Strickland the way he fought Whitaker, relying on a power jab, Rob would have just pieced him up with jabs and teeps. This guy finds the key to everyone, and now Chimaev is in his path. Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 308 secured a brilliant victory in his signature style, shooting for a takedown right at the start. Funny enough, before the fight, he promised to be more professional, to showcase his stamina and striking, and warned Whitaker to fear his right hand. In the end, he shot for the legs even faster than usual. Was Khamzat trying to play mind games, or did he change his mind at the last second? Who knows? But it worked once again, and why stop doing what almost always works? The only thing is, now every opponent will be expecting that takedown from the opening bell and will try to be ready for it. One day, that could come back to bite him. But anyway, in that fight, Robert was doing everything right. Khamzat went full throttle from the start, working at maximum capacity. Whitaker's defense was excellent. Khamzat couldn't land a single significant strike, whereas Kamaru Usman, a natural wrestler in the same situation, gave up his back at that same moment, got flattened out, and was absorbing dozens of unanswered shots to the head, barely surviving. But now let's be honest about Khamzat. First, just as we knew very little about him before, not much has changed. We don't know what he looks like in deep waters in rounds 4 and 5. We don't know what his striking looks like against the top guys. But what Khamzat did answer for us were questions about his wrestling skills and his colossal physical strength. Remember how I said Usman was undersized, took the fight on short notice, was sick, injured, and flat-footed? Even a high school kid could have shot a takedown on him. But Whitaker wasn't old, had no injuries, and was a true hard-hitting, powerful middleweight. And he's not just a striker, he's a highly experienced, well-rounded fighter. The way Khamzat controlled and took him down, man, that was seriously impressive. After a fight like that, I thought Khamzat could genuinely finish Cannonier, Adesanya, and even Pereira because Poatan cut so much weight and wouldn't be as strong and durable. And now imagine Khamzat can still fight in this weight class for another 3 to 5 years. He can get bigger, bulk up, put on more muscle because he still has a very easy weight cut. Imagine what kind of machine he could become if nothing gets in his way, like injuries or health issues. And some might say Khamzat got lucky, and to an extent that's true. Everything played out perfectly for him. But we don't know what would have happened if Robert had survived the first round. Would Khamzat have gassed him out? Would Rob have picked him apart on the feet in the championship rounds? Just like we don't know what would have happened if Khamzat had not broken his teeth and had locked in a choke instead. Would it have worked? Could he have gotten the submission? I think he probably could have. So that victory is all Khamzat's credit. And even though I didn't pick him, and I might even consider Robert in a rematch if he hasn't aged, Khamzat took the risk, went for it right away, and it all paid off. When it comes to experience, especially championship-level experience, Dricus is obviously ahead. He's already fought in title fights and gone the distance. But given Khamzat's unique style, he might just steamroll through that experience, just like he did with Whittaker, who was miles more experienced. Then again, if the fight goes past the halfway mark, that's uncharted territory for Khamzat, and that's where Dricus' experience could be the deciding factor. In terms of cardio, it's a similar picture. While we're still not sure if Khamzat is a cardio machine, it's still a big question mark. He's been working hard on it. If he doesn't go all out from the start, he might be able to go 5 rounds, but we haven't seen it yet, so it's hard to say. Dricus' cardio has improved immensely. If you look gassed after a round and a half against Darren Till, today he easily goes 5 rounds in the rematch with Strickland without needing a second wind. Just 25 minutes of solid work, and he wasn't even breathing heavily. Plus, he's gaining that priceless championship distance experience. He knows when to conserve energy, when to push through, and when to step on the gas. Khamzat simply doesn't have that experience. He's never gone that distance. So in that department, I'm definitely picking Du Plessis. As for the physical stats, there's almost no difference. Khamzat is a little taller with a little more reach, but just barely. They're the same age, both 30. Dricus will probably be a bit heavier and look more solid in the octagon. And on this point, I think is super intriguing. Khamzat has already made a statement. I really couldn't imagine Dricus dominating Rob on the ground, just like I didn't believe he'd submit Adesanya. By the way, Dricus gave Adesanya his first submission loss, just like Khamzat gave Whittaker his first submission loss in the UFC. Here, I still don't see Dricus having dominant wrestling. He's just a complete MMA fighter who can wrestle and get a takedown, but he's not a pure wrestler or a jiu-jitsu specialist. If it works, great. If not, oh well. Yes, he's also very strong and relies a lot on his physicality. He can throw and choke, but again, without a serious base, he's not Khabib, Makhachev, or Cormier, who always have a plan B to just wrestle you into oblivion. Let's not beat around the bush, I'll say it straight up. Dricus is not Khamzat, who has a specific base that he continues to rely on, and he's right to do so. As we can see, Khamzat doesn't stray from his base and sticks to wrestling. If he actually tried to outstrike or outpace someone, that's where he'd have problems, but he just keeps wrestling. Look at how low he shoots for the legs in freestyle wrestling competitions. That's pretty much how he took down Usman, Holland, and Whittaker. He keeps doing what he does best. Khamzat's technique is levels better, with more variety in his takedowns and tricks. I think he's stronger too. I also think if they just wrestle, they could both get tired, but Khamzat would be doing his usual work, while for Dricus, that would be a major problem. Sure, Dricus' wrestling was good enough for Adesanya and Darren Till, but it definitely won't be enough for Khamzat. So the wrestling aspect, especially in the early rounds, is entirely in Khamzat's favor. Can he wrestle for 5 rounds? I don't know, but can he finish Dricus in the first? If he finished Rob, he can finish Dricus too. Again, I'm not saying it will happen, I'm saying Khamzat has the skills to do it. For me, Whittaker's skill level is just so high, and it's not about Rob having a bad night, it's about how Khamzat took him down and controlled him. Khamzat answered those questions for me and then some. Now I'm confident that Dricus won't have an easy time there either. On this next point, I won't drag it out because it's crystal clear. Everyone knows Khamzat has power in his hands, a heavy bomb, but it's also true that he rarely uses it. Khamzat can catch you with his right hand. He did it often before the UFC and a couple of times here. Yes, his defense isn't the best, his technique isn't the cleanest, but like any good wrestler, he has that heavy knockout power and can land that one big shot. But Dricus' striking is constantly improving, and he started to take apart the best of the best in this division. He can apply pressure, load up on the jab, work his combinations, and stun his opponents. He can hold a high boxing guard and work carefully from a defensive position. Or he can switch stances and throw combinations with high kicks, back fists, and elbows. He's outstruck the best strikers in this division: Strickland, Adesanya, Whitaker. The only one missing from his collection is Pereira. It's obvious that trading shots and brawling with him is extremely dangerous. Trading in a phone booth like he did with Kamaru definitely won't work here. Dricus hits like a horse kicks, he's been through deep waters, he's unorthodox, he can attack unexpectedly from different angles and throw a surprise kick or a Superman punch. Long story short, you don't want to mess with him on the feet. Can Khamzat trade with him carefully? I think he can, but he'd be better off building his game plan around his wrestling and doing what he does best, which is wrestle. For my fight prediction, I'm going with Dricus Du Plessis. I finally figured this fighter out, and I don't see who or how anyone can beat him right now.
You see, hard work always beats talent. But when a talented person starts to work hard, it's game over. Dricus is a genetic freak. He's ridiculously strong. Every opponent has commented on his physical strength. He's a very smart fighter, on the level of a John Jones, who not only breaks you down completely beforehand, but also adapts perfectly to you during the fight. And yes, he's a true all-rounder. Maybe you could compare him to Georges St-Pierre, something like that. And if you want, you can believe in that old formula. Wrestler beats striker, striker beats all-rounder, and the all-rounder beats the wrestler. It's not hard to guess who's the all-rounder and who's the wrestler in this fight. Of course, it makes sense to bet on Chimaev in the first round, and it makes sense to bet on Dricus by decision or in the later rounds. We shouldn't write Khamzat off early. He knows how to surprise people. But I just don't see him winning a decision here, or getting a knockout in the 5th round. You have to agree. Alright guys, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you're hyped for this fight. And please support my work. You guys know how it is on YouTube these days, so your support is more important than ever. Let me know in the comments who you think will win this. Who do you really believe in, Khamzat or Dricus? Also, let me know in the comments what other breakdowns you want to see. And if for some reason you don't like the content, you can unsubscribe, but I don't believe that will happen. Catch you in the next one. Peace.